Hello, 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 hello there, my friends. How are you? Hi, my name is Natasha. I'm the creator and the founder of the Glow Up Method, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Like, really, first and foremost, I'm just actually extremely grateful to be here today. Gosh, I am loving life. I am loving all the little lessons I'm learning, and then somehow miraculously the universe is like, oh, ha ha, you think you're learning something new. Let's put your little butt to the test here and see if your, words align with your actions. And so again, I've been really delving into this mindfulness and this whole process of self-reflecting because as a chameleon, as a people pleaser, I was just like so consumed and prioritized everybody else's pleasing them, making sure everybody around me was happy and content and at peace and safe and happy and content and all those things. And I really think a part of me thought I was in control of that. Like I, could make my kids happy, or I can make my husband happy, or I can make my friends happy or my family happy. And again, it's been this realization that nobody else can make me happy. Like, yes, they can contribute to it, but ultimately my own happiness is really up to me. And so if that's true, then that also makes it true that everybody else's happiness is up to them. And I can contribute, like if I'm kind, that can help contribute. If I'm mean, I can contribute, the other way. And so really learning that and beginning to have this step of this self-awareness, which is the self-reflection part, right? Because again, like I said, nobody was asking me how I was. So it wasn't something that I would ask myself, like, how am I doing? I didn't check in. I didn't think of it just didn't even dawn on me to ask myself, like, how am I doing? Like, what's going on? What are we feeling? Like, no, it was just this reactionary life. Like, whatever was coming at me, I would react to it. And so now utilizing these new skills, right? Where it's like, I have this reflections, the self-reflections, then I become aware, and then I can choose how to respond. So the majority of my life, the vast majority of my life, I have just been in reactionary mode. And again, like I said, as a part of my reactionary mode, I became really good at being proactive and anticipating what things were going to be, disasters were going to be happening, and, some things big or small. I anticipated, kids going to the bathroom. So I had multiple diapers in my bag and multiple toys and, multiple snacks. Like there was a lot of anticipation in my job as a mom, right? You're relying on intuition. You can't understand what they're saying because they're babies, right? They're not speaking clearly yet. And so you become really good at anticipating and guessing and relying on that intuition, like, oh, this sound means they're hungry versus I'm, in a dirty diaper. You become really good at really reading and observing people, in particularly your kids. And for somebody like me who was so in the belief that everybody else's happiness and contentment equaled mine, I got really good at observing people. I got really good at reading facial expressions and listening to the tones of voices and feeling that little feeling in my gut, like something is off or something is good with a person. It was just something that I could really read pretty quickly. And sometimes I was wrong. And then there would be some people that I was like, oh, just do not like this person. Don't know what it is. Like, haven't done anything. And then randomly they become like a very close friend, right? Like, so, I'm not saying I'm always correct in it, and there's times that I'm not, but I became this person who observed. So that's how I learned how to navigate in this world and knew how to respond to you. Like, what were the things that you liked? And then I liked them. And then what were, the things that, it just became this, I needed to observe to learn who I needed to become in your presence and to make you the most happy. If that makes any sense to you, please let me know, like comment below. Like and it wasn't like I thought about it. Like it wasn't like one day somebody was like, here is how you live life. You observe everybody. It's just from my life experiences, this is how I learned how to behave. And so what this personal journey I've been on that began with just the smallest amounts of self-care and just learning to love myself and eventually feel worthy and eventually understand when I was like, I'm not a people pleaser. Like I don't care what people think about me, and having this like almost like stubbornness to kind of see it like, oh, I get it now. Like I just couldn't see it because that's all I was. And it didn't feel like that was who I was. Like I didn't really realize it until I realized it. So I was like looking at a mirror or looking at myself with this really different filter than what was there. And now I have stripped myself of all the filters, and I was like, let's just get raw. Let's just get real. And let's just get deep. Let's see who the frick you are without all of these other external forces coming in at you. Or if there are external forces, right? Like I'm very conscious. I don't know. Not conscientious. Conscious. I can't even say this word. You know what I'm trying to say here. Of the information and the stimuli that I get, right? Like before, I used to watch the news all the time, and no hate on the news. If you love the news, power to you. I just realized for me personally, the state of mind it put me in. I realized that if I watched a crime show or a show where there was victims or yelling or screaming or, any kind of things like that, I noticed I would have nightmares. I noticed I would feel uneasy. I noticed I would walk in this world, expecting somebody to hurt me. So I started to become aware of certain things. Like I noticed certain music would make me happy. Certain music would make me mad. Certain music would make me happy. Certain music would make me want to feel like loved and like, oh, swooning. Like I'd love for someone to write a love song about me. Like, can I imagine somebody loving me like that? Like, those kind of things. So I became very strategic about what external forces and data I allowed into my little brain sphere here. And by choosing my stimuli, by choosing what influences that were within my control, right? I go out in the world, I hear the traffic, it gives me a little bit of an anxiety attack. It gives me also some realization. It also gives me some peace because I was able to ground myself in this chaotic place. And oddly, I got to know something about myself I didn't quite realize that I always knew, but just never really had a full awareness or realization of just how deeply, like, overstimulation and in particular of noises can really trigger me. And then to be able to go down the line of like something very recent as of, last week to, something that happened 10 years ago to something that happened 45 years ago, was able to be like, oh, I can connect all the dots. And while me being alone on a street by a freeway in a very safe neighborhood to, being at a pool, again, another safe situation with my kids and other people, to being in a house with just my kids, to being in a closet hearing like abuse happening and not, to see, and all those are very different situations, but they all had exactly the same feeling inside, right? I was not in danger whatsoever, yesterday when I was taking my walk. So for those that didn't see the episode yesterday, I took a walk and, it was really loud. And all of a sudden I got to this point where it was just like, for whatever reason, the acoustics of the freeway, I could hear as if they were just surrounding my entire head. And it was just like this realization, like there was so much stimuli from the heat of the sun and the wind and the smells and the diesel. And there was motorcycles and screeching and loud sounds of semis. It was just so loud. The air flowing from the car, each car going this way and that way. And I became like panicked. I had a panic in there, and it was uncertain. And it also had this like realization, like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like in my head. It's like, there's all this chaos going on sometimes. And especially before, I'm different now. So sometimes when I talk, it's about like old me and the old version, and my right-handed version that I'm trying to learn to tell it's safe. Like, I'm safe and I'm okay. And yet here I was, a 47-year-old woman, feeling like a 2-year-old in a closet again, hearing things that were very scary, and trying to be very protective and trying to be very brave, and hearing all these sounds, the sounds of squeaky toys, the sounds of a record player, the sounds of things hitting the wall, the sounds of chaos, the sounds of screaming. It was just so many different things. And so again, when I get in these scenarios where there's a lot of sound stimuli and I'm in a closet, so I don't know what's happening, it really puts me in this panic, because you have a lot of imagination also in there, that in the lack of having data of what is happening, right? And so I can trace back, and those are just a few instances in my lifetime that makes sense why all of a sudden, here I am, completely safe and fine, taking my, little walk, and be like, okay. And having that awareness that there's this connection from, the little girl version of me to the, teenage version of me, to the young mom version of me, to the adult at the pool version, and, seeing the patterns in it and seeing, oh my gosh, okay, here, now I'm aware, and I don't want to fix it. I don't want to keep suppressing it and just reacting, because what happens is, like, I was alone in this walk, but like when I was with my kids, I just felt on edge. I felt like literally underneath my skin, there was electricity. I felt like my skin crawling. I felt my stomach turning. I felt my breath shorten. I felt just angry. I don't want anybody to touch me, talk to me, like say anything. I just felt so, just on edge. And again, like I said, I was really, really, really working through, okay, let's try this thing. And that didn't work. And okay, let's try breathing. That didn't work. And then finally, I just had to flee, right? Because it's this whole fight, flight, or freeze kind of thing. And I was like, I'm out. Like, I need to remove myself. Like, this is how I can respond. I've tried multiple tools. They're not working. I'm frustrated. We have no electricity. I came here with an expectation of something was going to happen, and it didn't. And I realized the biggest trigger of it all was just the overwhelming sound that was happening. And so now having this awareness and being able to articulate it to myself, being able to articulate it to my kids, may somehow, and articulate it to you guys, help me. So like I said, so yesterday I went through and I did a few different exercises, and then I forced myself, not forced, but like I had the decision. I'm like, I can flee. There's different directions. I do not need to walk back this way. I can just say goodbye and not do it. Or I decided to say, hey, just like my daily dose of dysregulation in that shower, I'm going to put myself through this really overwhelming auditory situation that triggers me, and start to get comfortable in seeing that I am safe, I'm in peace, I'm loved, I'm fine, like everything is okay, so that when that situation arises again, I kind of have practiced this thing. And it doesn't mean I'm going to get it perfect, and it doesn't mean I'm going to recognize it right away, right? Because it's just like, I'm just now learning this. And so about myself, and my question is like, I learned this, and what can I do to make sure that my actions align with something that's going to make me proud? Like, that's the question. Like, am I proud of myself if I walk away? If I need to, yes, I'm absolutely proud of myself if I need to walk away. But I really, really don't want to be in a place where sometimes I can't just walk away, right? Like there are situations where you're in it. And so I really want to learn how to respond in a way that isn't out of fear, isn't out of anxiety, isn't based on a 2-year-old little girl trauma. And I'm able to navigate that. So when I'm in those situations again, I don't hopefully have to be triggered by it. And so here we are, pan to this morning. Great morning, got up early, got all my stuff done, was super excited because, today is my favorite day of all the days I go dancing. It is just my absolute favorite. And I literally leave to the gym an hour and 5 minutes before class today. I was about to do my walk, and then I got to the car and I was like, silly me, remember, you found a place there that you could do the walk. So just get in the car and get going. And so I get in the car and I decide, hey, I'm gonna put on the Waze. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I'm like, maybe there's cops or something, so I'm gonna put it on. And the next thing you know, I was like 54 minutes. Like the longest it's ever taken me in the morning is like 34, maybe 40. But 54 was like, what? Like, is this like something wrong with it? Like I get out of the app, I put it back on again. And sure enough, it was 54 minutes. But yet it was still having me divert off the freeway. And so I'm driving, at first get on there, it's easy breezy. It's like better than average. I'm like, what are they talking about? They're just tripping out here, Maybe there was a fender bender, but maybe it's cleared up by now. And so I get to a point and it's parking lot, absolute parking lot. And I'm like, well, yeah, clearly they didn't clean it up. And so, I have the choice to get off the road and take these back roads. But, I start thinking to myself, well, if I take the back roads, it's a one-way lane versus here's 4 or 5 lanes. And by the time they clear it up, what happens is the people on the one-way lanes, they're stuck in there and we're, cruising along again. So I'm steadfast in my decision, right? This is my decision. And I kind of waver back and forth and, and I'm in one lane and I see other lanes are moving fast. And again, like I said, there's a part of me who wanted to be, like the younger version of me who wanted to be a race car driver. It is still in me. I really work better at it. I have my patience is power. I have my courtesy is contagious hanging in my car. They are ready on deck to remind me how to behave in a vehicle. And sometimes, I have this like efficient brain. So I'm like, oh, I need to get over because this lane is going faster. And I was like, just stay where you are. Make a choice, pick a lane and stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane today. That's the goal. And I'm like, but please, I just want to get over. And I'm like, nope, we're going to stay in our lane. Stay in our lane. So I stayed in my lane. And then, I was like, okay, make a decision. Are we going to take the back roads or are we going to stay on the freeway? And like I said, I went through my little conversations in my mind, sitting there in the traffic, not really moving or moving very slowly, watching the time tick up and tick up and tick up. And now I see that I'm in traffic and I'm not making it to class. I will get to class at like 9:11 and it starts at 9. And this class isn't the dance class. So it's not you have equipment, you have weights and balls and mats. And it's not a class that you can come into late. So, I have now resolved I'm not going to go to class, which yesterday there was also traffic, but I was able to get there a little bit late and then the classroom across the way was empty. So I actually did a solo class alone in there and people just kept walking by and looking like, what is this lady doing? But I had the room to myself. I could hear them. I couldn't hear the music, but it was like a cool vibe. I enjoyed it. So anyways, I was like, here we are 2 days in a row stopped by traffic, right? And so I decide, you know what, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with this decision that these lanes may open up and I'm not going to take all these off-road, back road kind of things. It keeps ticking up. It keeps ticking up. It keeps ticking up. And then I'm driving and usually I'm like sitting there. I'm like, I'm actually really proud of myself right now because usually my response would be to be ticked off. Like I got up early. I left an hour and 5 minutes for a class that should have took me 30 minutes max at this time to get here. And now I'm not even going to be there for an hour and a half. And like, usually I would have been all irritated and ticked off, but I was like, oh, well, Like, it's okay. And I had the choice at that moment to be like, should I just turn around and go home? And I was like, no, at least go for the one class that you love. And, you know, we'll get there for what we can get there for. So I keep going and I'm driving. And then suddenly to my left, I see a vehicle in the shoulder lane, and it passes, and it's the Alameda County coroner. And, you know, it just puts it all in perspective. I'm like, whatever. Like, honestly, I'll get there when I get there, if I get there. You know, like, it just put it all in perspective. Like, how am I going to sit here and be the least bit frustrated about sitting in traffic when literally somebody left their house today? They were going to the gym, or they were going to work, or they were dropping a kid off at school. I don't know what their story is or what their story was, but they left their house and they're not coming home tonight. And so it's like, I'm just so freaking grateful. And in that second, like, I just immediately was like, please pray for that family. Please pray for those friends. Please pray for anybody who witnessed whatever has occurred ahead of us. And I just was super grateful that that wasn't me, right? Like, everything comes down to seconds. Like, what do we choose in a second? Do we stay home a little bit later? Do we leave a little bit? It all has an impact. And, you know, for this person, unfortunately, I don't know who they are, but they've been on my mind all day long. And I just am so grateful to be here, because I know in an instant it could change, right? And again, I go back to this a lot, but it's like this core part of my foundation that really, this experience that we are having right now is so fragile. It is so fragile. And it is so, and I think this is the thing for me, is like, I just took it for granted so long. I didn't know this experience of mine was my experience, because I was so busy pleasing everybody else, or attempting to, like I thought I was in my mind, that I completely abandoned myself. And so for a good 45 years, and again, these last 2 years have been touch and go, trying to balance this out and figure it out. And I still have so much more to learn about myself, but I really didn't live for me. I was living for everybody else. And, you know, what a shame it would have been had I, you know, something happened to me. Had I been the one in a vehicle, you know, a few years ago, had I actually went through with what I considered doing on that mountain that day, had I, you know, been the one that got some kind of terminal illness, like, what a shame. What a shame that would have been, to never have lived my life for me. And so I don't know how much longer I have, but I know for sure I am so damn proud of every choice, of every second I have spent exploring, discovering who I am and how I can show up in this world and improve my life and live a life that's aligned with my integrity, my personality, and then to go and share that with others so that they can understand and see, or maybe just even be curious, or maybe follow through with it and live a life that they're meant to live, instead of living what society tells us and our family has told us and our friends have told us. And, you know, we get so wrapped up, like we just don't pause enough. We're so, especially here in the United States, we just don't pause enough to see, like, are we even on the right freeway? Are we on the right place? Are we going in the right direction? Is my car headed the right way? I get up and I go, and I'm in this like trance, and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. And, you know, I'm supposed to get married by a certain age, and I'm supposed to have a certain amount of kids and pets and send them to traditional schools. And then they go to college, and then they get married, and they just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And like, it's so fragile, and it doesn't have to be that way. It can be if you want it to, if that's what makes you happy. But I think the important thing is to ask, like, is this what I want? Is this the life I want to leave? Is this the legacy I want to leave for the world when I am gone? And so again, I don't know who this person was who unfortunately lost their life today in an accident with a semi and 4 other vehicles. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that today is somebody's worst day, you know, like to hear that news and to have that thing, like it just breaks my heart. Like I'm so sad for them. But on the same turn afterwards, I'm so grateful I'm here. And I'm so grateful that I get another shot at exploring what it is to have this experience for myself. Like, I'm so grateful. And so, you know, as I drove past the scene again, I say another prayer, I say another thought, you know, I feel a heartbreak. I feel a heaviness. And I think for a long time, because I passed that part, every single time I go to the gym, I will have a thought in my heart for this person and a piece of them with me to remind me, like, to go and do everything I can. So like I go to the dance and I dance so hard. Like I was telling my son on a walk, I was like, honestly, I forget sometimes I'm a 47-year-old woman. Like I thought I was like Beyonce in her 20s out there. I was like, I think I pulled something in my hip. It like hurts, but it feels good in a way. Like maybe it was something that like needed to loosen up, but I'm like, damn, you know, like sometimes I'm like, I'm a 47-year-old woman. I don't know. We ain't in the club. This is the only club we in is the damn Bay Club. And, you know, like sometimes I'm just so extra, but I'm just so extra because I can be. Like I have that privilege of being extra. Like, again, through my time at the gym, I have watched my uncle pass away. I have seen, you know, the end of the, you know, different things. I have seen my kids injure themselves. I have seen the fragility of life in my face. And so when I get in there, you know, like I said, people are like, you always have so much energy. And quite honestly, I thought my energy was below the instructor always. You know, I was just trying to keep up with him. And, you know, that was my personal, like, hey, if he's out here doing it, you can do it too. Like he's working his butt off. Like you could work your butt off too. Like no excuses. Don't be lazy. Like we are here. And again, some days I'm like, this is all I got. Listen, I came into the class and I'm going raw. You know, this is it. That's all I got for you today. But most days I'm just really grateful that I have that opportunity to move my body. I'm just really grateful that I'm in a community that is a very supportive. And you know, if they have any judgments about me shaking it, they just don't let it be known to me. So I appreciate that. And I could just go be me for just a few minutes and let all the crap that I've let store up in my body just release and feel beautiful and feel fun and feel strong and feel inspirational and feel motivated by seeing other people. My girl, one of my girls, I love in there. It was her 80th birthday yesterday. So yeah, you're probably thinking, okay, girl, you're over here, you know, saying you go so far, you're dancing next to an 80-year-old. Okay, they're not all 80, but you know, she's 80. I'm like, damn, you go. Like you are an inspiration to me. You're sitting here saying, I inspire you. Come on now, your skin is flawless. You're freaking glowing over here. You're 80 years old. Like, damn, you are amazing. I have seen family members of mine at 60 look twice your dang age and act twice your age. So you're here cutting it up to some rap music, Beyonce, you know, Rihanna, like, and I'm like, dang girl, like, you inspire me. And she was so happy. So shout out to my friend whose birthday was in. And then there was my other friend who said today is her 66th birthday. So shout out. Like, I am so proud of being around predominantly women, these strong women who have the courage to come and show up and respond to their lives and the things that are happening to them. And so that's the biggest takeaway from me is, you know, I didn't sit there reacting and having a temper tantrum that I missed my whole class because somebody wasn't a good driver or whatever. No, I didn't. I just responded like, okay, I mean, what can I control in this situation? I can control how I react. I can control if this pisses me off or if it's just like, all right, well, I'm going to listen to some more music, check out the scenes, you know, whatever, have my thoughts, whatever's going on, and make an unfortunate situation pleasant And then when you see this reminder about, yeah, how am I going to sit here and complain when at least I get to go about my day at some point and this other person's done? That's it. There's no more days. So I say all this to say, quit wasting your life just responding or reacting. Okay, yeah, never, take it back. Quit wasting your life just simply reacting. Take this conscious time and formulate a response, because sometimes when we react, we regret it. We do things that are irrational and irresponsible sometimes, and things that we're like cringing at, like, no, I didn't do that. And we mess up relationships, and we do crap that makes us like lay in bed up all night like, oh my God, why'd I say that? Why'd I do that? And take that time to take a few breaths and ask yourself the questions like, all right, like, what's going on? Take your time and then formulate a response that you're proud of, that makes you feel good, even in situations that are unforeseen. So I say all that to say, I absolutely freaking adore you. I am loving all this personal awareness and reflection. And so I'm just really excited about it, and I'm really hammering it down to you guys, and you're like, next subject, please. But I'm hoping that you're taking some of this advice and taking a few minutes to yourself each day so you can cultivate this safe space for you to explore those questions, those deep questions and those deep answers within you, to find out what your core is, who you are, so that you know what it is that will make you proud. You know the way you want to behave, who you want to be, how you want to behave, and beginning to act like that, even if you're not quite there yet. Like, right? Like, I can act like I'm a left-handed toothbrusher, even though it's sketchy as hell, and I'm like, please don't hit your gums because that hurts, but I'm getting there, and I'm willing to try. And it doesn't mean every day I'm brushing my teeth with my left hand. There's a lot of days I'm hitting it with the right hand. And, sometimes I'm like, okay, every other toothbrush, we're going to go on the left. But just knowing I have this ability to do both, and I can slip into it whenever I choose, is the cool thing. It's the thing that rewires my brain and says, yeah, I can do things different, and it's okay. And it's not always clean. Sometimes we get some toothpaste on the mirror. We just clean it off. And again, sometimes we accidentally bump our gums, and that hurts, but we're a little extra careful on it. But it's okay. So I say all that to say, I adore you. I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you so much for this platform. Please comment below about things that you've become aware of yourself that you just simply didn't know. And so I say all this to say, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much. If you can please go out there today, give somebody a big smile, give somebody a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye.